I now give the floor to His Excellency Dennis Francis, President of the General Assembly at his 78th session.
His Excellency Philomen Yang, President of the General Assembly, His Excellency Filati Teo, Prime Minister of Tuvalu, Mr. Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Excellencies, dear friends, I stand before you today with a great sense of purpose, hope, and anticipation as I reflect on the transformative strides that we have made collectively to get to this watershed moment. This high-level meeting finally recognizes sea level rise to have an agenda of its own through the remarkable and unprecedented action of the United Nations General Assembly. It is a recognition of the immediacy of the existential threats of sea level rise. It presents realities, its present realities are unfolding before our very eyes. In this century, many of the small island states and low-lying areas will lose considerable territory to rising sea level. Some are likely to become mostly uninhabitable. 1 billion people are now vulnerable, living in low-lying or coastal areas. The magnitude and the unprecedented nature of the challenge demand global action, and the membership rose to this challenge by taking decisive action through the General Assembly. I congratulate the membership for this achievement. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to the co-facilitators, the ambassadors of Costa Rica and of New Zealand, as well as my climate envoy and advisor, Professor Amacrane, for their talent, creativity, and relentless commitment to achieve compromise and consensus. It would be remiss of me if I did not recognize the invaluable contribution of various coalitions that acted as locomotives to build momentum in the process. In particular, I would like to congratulate the Coalition for Addressing Sea Level Rise and its Existential Threats, the CSET, as well as the Pacific Small Island Developing States, the Caribbean Community, and the Alliance of Small Island States. Excellencies, we need to be clear that while there is room for congratulation, this is just a beginning. This is the starting point to shape an ambitious declaration by the General Assembly in September 2026. The declaration is an opportunity to secure prosperity, dignity, and rights of all affected countries and communities. Through the declaration, we must reaffirm that sovereignty and statehood are inalienable rights, and they are enduring and permanent notwithstanding any circumstances of sea level rise. The principle of statehood continuity should be affirmed as a tenet of international law and international cooperation. The membership in the United Nations and its specialized agencies is also enduring and permanent, regardless of climate change and sea level rise. Maritime zones and the rights and entitlements that flow from them should not be reduced as a result of the impacts of sea level rise. The positive adaptation journeys of the most vulnerable communities must be better supported. Climate financing is not sufficiently reaching the local level and should not saddle countries suffering from repeat disasters with more and more debt. Climate mobility pathways that facilitate movement safely, orderly, and with dignity are needed. Existing legal gaps in protecting the human rights of affected populations and those forcibly displaced by sea level rise need to be promptly addressed. We should have the required frameworks to uphold the rights of all, leaving no one behind. Concrete programs that support the efforts of affected countries to safeguard their unique culture and heritage, both tangible and intangible, are urgently needed and require the full support of the international community. Knowledge, data, and science to anticipate and plan for the impacts of sea level rise need to better inform policies and planning for adaptation and disaster risk management. Excellencies, colleagues, let us sculpt our ambition into an action-oriented, comprehensive declaration. Let us seize every opportunity to shape the declaration and build the global partnership that can turn it into reality. The hopes and aspirations of the 1 billion vulnerable people are at stake, and we must do everything possible to ensure that they do not become the so-called bottom billion, because we must leave no stone unturned to ensure that we leave no one behind. I thank you.